Hi and welcome to my channel. In this video I'm going to show you how you can use your scraps to make faux postage stamp embellishments that you can use on a variety of different projects, including cards, mini albums, and journal pages. So let's get started. What I like to do first is gather paper and the embellishments that I want to use for my postage stamps. So I've already done this and I've collected a variety of different things. I like to use scraps, so I have a collection here of scraps that I've just taken left over from a mini album that I made recently. And I love the paper and I think they make really pretty embellishments. So I've taken the different pieces of paper and I've pulled different things from my stash. So you can see I have little wooden pieces like this flower and this butterfly die cut. And then I have some flowers. These are just made from burlap, and some little ribbon bows. And here is also another ribbon bow and a different type of flower. And then I have these embellishments that are made from Renee Bouquets. This is her printed beautiful board, and this is one of her butterflies. And I love these, so these definitely make really pretty embellishments. I've just put some pearls here that are going to match the butterfly there. I've got some gems here that are going to match with this one here. And then these ones down here that I haven't done yet have stickers, so you can use stickers as well and you can add those on. So I've already cut the pieces out for this one. I'm going to show you how to cut the pieces out for this one. So once you pick the different elements that you want to use, you're going to make sure that you cut each of the pieces of paper down to size. You can make these as large or as small as you choose, depending on what you're planning on doing for them. You can also cut your pieces in multiple different ways. I have some of these scissors that have the scalloped edge lines, so this is what I use to cut these, but I cut it in two different ways. So this one, you can see the scalloped edge this way, and this one, you see the scalloped edge is the opposite direction, so you can do them in either way. If you do not have a pair of these scissors and you have a Cricut, you can also cut some on your Cricut. There is a postage stamp image. There are several of them actually in the Cricut photo library. If you don't have a Cricut and you don't have the scissors, you can also draw on the pieces of paper and cut them out by hand. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut the base for each of these stamps. So I'm going to start with this one here. I've already got a piece of just plain blank cardstock. It's another scrap, so it's a really nice way to use up scraps. And you want to make sure that it is big enough because we are going to be trimming all the way around the piece of paper. You can put as much or as little around the edges as you want, depending on your preference. So I'm going to start by just cutting off the first edge. My scissors aren't very good, they're cheap ones, so I just make do. Once you finish that, you want to make sure that you put the piece of paper on here so that you don't cut this too small. And I like to just kind of eyeball it. I guess you could measure if you wanted to, but I find it's just easier to do it this way. And I want to cut it right about here. And then we're going to start by trimming one side first. And if you get it like this, you can take a pair of scissors and cut out a little notch so that it looks more like a postage stamp. You take the background piece, put it back on, and cut the final line. And there is the background for this one. And this one, I'm going to show you the way to cut it with the opposite cutting. So this one, we're needing this part of our scissors to actually cut. So we're going to start on the opposite side. And now we have that line. Again, we're going to take the paper And this time we're going to turn it over because we're going to use the cut on this side again. And we're going to repeat the process on each of the sides. So we're just going to cut the edges. All right, so now we have the scallops going the opposite direction. And this does still fit on here, but I want this to be a little bit more even, so I'm just going to take my scissors and trim a little tiny bit off the top so that it's got more of an even border around. And now we have all of the different backgrounds cut out, so we will be ready to assemble the postage stamps next. I like to use distress ink on a lot of my projects, especially papers like this. I think it makes it look better. So I'm going to use Vintage Photo Distress ink, and I'm just going to go around all of the edges of these background papers. I'm also going to go around the backgrounds and distress those. Now that we have all of the papers distressed, we're going to go ahead and start gluing them together. For this, I'm going to just use tacky glue. You can use any kind of glue you want, but I prefer this. So I'm going to start with this one, and I'm just going to first glue the background down to the plain cardstock. I'm also going to be adding some different stamps on here. So I have some stamps that are letters, they're USA, and then I have different number stamps. I just picked a couple of them out to put the prices that you usually see on stamps. And then I have some of these stamps that have some little postal stamps looking on them, and I'm just going to use bits and pieces to stamp so it looks like a canceled stamp. When you are at this stage, you have to decide if you want the stamping to be under or on top of the image. And for this one, because it is three-dimensional, I'm actually going to put it here on the corner, and I'm going to put some of it here, and I'm going to center this so that the letters will go down here. So I'm going to put this one on before I do any stamping. And then I'm going to grab my black ink for this and a piece of scrap paper, and I'm going to stamp my stamps. So I'm going to put USA down here. And for this one, I'm going to use 25. When I was little, stamps, I remember being 25 cents. So I'm going to place that here. And then I'm going to take this one And I'm only going to ink a part of it because I don't want the whole stamp, but it's going to be off the side. So I'm going to be really careful about what I'm inking. And there. So you see the cancel stamp on just the part of it, and it looks like it's incomplete, and I like that look. If you don't, you can make it a very clear stamp if that's what you want. And that stamp is done. You can add more to it if you want to, but that's what I'm going to do with that one. So we're going to do the little bunny one next. Again, starting with gluing the background down. And for this one, I'm going to do my stamping underneath because I'm going to be putting some little eyelash trim on the top. Now I'm going to take my eyelash trim and I'm going to glue it on first, and I'm just going to make a little circle out of this. Put some glue in the middle and stick this right down there. Then I'm going to take my little bunny sticker and add glue to the back of it so that it doesn't come off. Now I'm going to glue that right on top of that little circle so it's completely hidden behind the bunny. So just in time for Easter, we've got the little bunny, and I'm going to cut off a row of these and place them here. So I'm going to cut off 5 of them. Make sure everything's nice and glued down. And there is our bunny one. For the next one, we're going to glue down the ribbon and the flower. Again, start with the background paper. And this one already has some lettering on it, which is really neat. That's why I picked this piece, but I'm going to add a little bit to it. And with this one, I'm going to start with the bow. And add glue to the center and up and down just a little bit of the ribbons. And I'm going to place it centered but a little bit towards the top. And then for the flower, I'm going to use Fabri-Tac because I think it'll hold it a little bit better. And I'm going to glue it right in the center of the bow. And on this one, I'm not going to add the extra stamping. I'm going to set this one aside so it'll dry. The next one, butterfly. I liked this background because it has these circles and it reminded me of the canceled stamps, so I thought that was kind of neat. And I want to place the butterfly so that it is all the way on this but slightly at an angle, and then I'm going to put my USA and the amount in these areas. So I'm going to start by gluing the butterfly down. So you can see it looks a little bit different. On this one, I'm going to take these gems and I am going to use 5 of them. Put glue on them just to make it a little bit more decorative.
And I'm going to put this running along the USA.
For this next one, again, starting with the background. And on this one, I'm going to put all of the stamping under. And the wooden piece is going to go in the center. And with this one, I've got very teeny tiny pearls. I'm going to put one right in the center. And this one's done. Next, we're going to do the dragonfly. So we're going to start with the background. Because this one has a gem on the back, it's not laying flat, so I'm going to take the gem off. That should make it lay flat and make sure that it doesn't come off. And I'm going to take this gem just place it down here in the corner. We're going to do the butterfly next. I'm going to add those 3 flat back pearls along the bottom edge once I've finished stamping. And this has 2 sets of foam, I'm gonna peel one foam square off. And put glue on the bottom of it. I'm also going to put glue on the bottom tips of each wing. And I'm going to set this so that the tips and the foam are touching the stamp. And it might take a little bit to get it to hold down and dry. And then I'm going to take my 3 pearls and put them at the bottom. And set that one aside to dry. The last one, start with the background. And then we're going to glue down the bow. I'm going to take Fabri-Tac to glue down the burlap flower. And we have that one done. So we have our 8 stamps done. We're going to let them dry and we'll come back in just a bit. Once you finish making your embellishments, you can use them to decorate on a variety of different things. So I've taken mine and I've made several different things. So I'm going to show you what I've made. We're going to start with this one. So this is our bunny stamp and it is a card. I just stamped Happy Easter, added some extra gems, put it on some cardstock. Very simple, basic Easter card. This one I made as a thank you card, and again, it's just very basic. I wanted to say thanks inside. This card has just the image on the front, and then on the inside, it says thinking of you. This is another card. It has just the stamp on it and some decorative paper to match. And on the inside, you are a blessing in my life. Then another option, I took this one and I decorated an envelope that I made. So there's an envelope and I left this piece of the stamp open so that you could slide things underneath of it. And this can be used in different things, folios, mini albums, or you can just give it to someone like this with something inside of it. This is a little pocket with a tag inside of it, so this stamp just decorates the front of that. It's nice because you can put this on a junk journal page, or you can use this in a mini album, you can use this on a card, so there are lots of different options for this. On this one I made a small tag so you can write on the back of it, you can put a photo on the back of it, and again it can be placed in a mini album, it can be placed in a journal, you can put it on a card, you can do whatever you want with that. And then this, I just put it on a couple of different layers of cardstock and I left it plain on the back. And so my idea for this is just to make a very simple photo mat that you could place in a journal, or you could place this in a mini album if you wanted to. So there are lots of different ways that you can use these different embellishments. I hope this gives you some ideas on what you might be able to do to decorate using your embellishments.